Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. The following interview is designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be. Your host, Derek Champagne, is the founder and CEO of The Artist Evolution, a full-service agency building successful brands, marketing tools, and campaigns, and also the author of the best-selling book, Don't Buy a Duck. And now, let's begin today's Leadership Series interview.
Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where our goal is to inspire you to become the best leader that you can be. Today we're doing Shark Tank Series 4, where we're interviewing two awesome guests from the hit TV show Shark Tank. Let's start with Melissa Lay, the founder of Sandy Lake Clothing. We've got a treat today. We have Shark Tank veteran and founder of Sandy Lake Clothing, Mel Lay. Mel, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
You've got a really cool story. I remember seeing you on Shark Tank a while back, and I promise we won't stay on Shark Tank the whole time. That's how we first heard about you and your unique story. So tell me a little bit about you're an amazing entrepreneur. You stumbled into it in some ways with where you're at now. Give me kind of the background on your company.
Yeah, so I have two kids. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I just wanted cooler clothes for my kids to wear. It's kind of hard to find. I have two girls, so it's hard to find clothes that aren't pink or sparkly or princess, themed. And for boys, it's kind of the same thing. There's lots of superhero blue. And so we just, a friend and myself just kind of had this idea, let's make a unisex, clothing company. And we had no idea where to start at all. But we figured screen printing might be the, easiest route to go. And so we YouTubed how to screen print, bought a screen printer, had no idea how to use it, figured it out pretty quickly. It's a fun trade to learn, and started designing. And from there, our clothing just kind of became popular. We feel really lucky, and started selling stuff. And that was 3 years ago.
Wow, it's been quite a journey for you in that 3 years.
It has.
So when you first started, yes, you wanted some clothing that was more unique and rad and modern for your kids and for others, but did you have a vision in mind to take it where it is today?
No, I love being a mom, but I kind of always felt like I could do something more while I was at home. And so that was really the basis around it, was to have cooler clothes for my kids and to just have something to do. I never imagined it would. In fact, I was actually scared. Our initial investment, we kind of figured out that it would take us over a year to pay it off if we sold, we kind of had a track going, and it was like, oh, we're never going to, pay ourselves off. And we did it. We did it in like 3 months. So at that point was when it was like, okay, this is a business. Let's, be serious about it. And so that's kind of when we knew we had something.
That's really cool. And I usually like to ask that question, when did you know you were onto something? So that was the time at 3 months in. Yes,
3 months in, we knew it was like, okay, take this seriously. It's not just a hobby.
That's so where do you find the space to put a screen printing?
Well, it started out just in my garage, and then slowly but surely every room in my house was Sandy Lake at some point. And even my dining room had my desk in it, and we tried to just keep our overhead low from day one. And so we basically just worked out of the house, and I had my kids running around, every minute of it, which I love. And now I kind of have a nice separation of work and in home, but I didn't have that for, a couple years of this. So
I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that.
For sure.
Starting my marketing company, I would clock in at my own and go into my office and be in there all day. And people coming over at first are like, this is kind of weird. This is crazy. I'm like, this is what we do when we're bootstrapping something.
And leave me alone because I've got to work.
This is my actual job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did your family feel about you taking over the garage with that equipment and then taking over the house?
Well, my husband, we had actually just moved into our house only a few months prior, and my husband, always thought the garage would be like his place. And he had no room for anything. And I'm like the worst wife. Like I would use his tools for my ink, and he hated it. So when we moved out, he was so happy. Now he has like his man room back or whatever he wants to call it. But yeah, he's so supportive though. He's the one that kind of allowed me to put, our first initial investment on our credit card. Like we did not have extra money for this. And so, he just has always been supportive and let me follow my dreams.
Well, I read an article that you talked about where, he would come back and he has a corporate job, I guess, correct? Where he would give advice and you kind of went your own direction with the brand, and that later came back and said that was a good decision.
Yes. Yeah. He has helped me so much with big picture ideas, stuff that I would have needed to go to school to learn. And then, but it's funny. Certain things you kind of in your gut, like, oh, that maybe works for you, but I think we should go a different route. And now he totally is like, oh, I'm so glad you did that instead of listen to me. And so it's kind of a cool success part of Sandy Lake was that we trusted the direction we were going from day one.
Give me a little bit of insight on Shark Tank, your experience there. I know it's such a huge, we've talked to several guests that have been on the show and heard so many different types of experiences from crying to getting deals to in between and all the prep work. So, but just what was it like for you when you submitted and you got the call back and you started preparing? Can you just give us just a minute or two on your experience there?
Well, I applied online. They say like 30,000 people apply every month or something on Shark Tank. And I didn't know that till afterwards, but I just applied shot in the dark on, it's an email you send. And I didn't hear anything for exactly 6 months. And then I got a phone call randomly on my cell phone from this chick who was like, yeah, I'm so-and-so from ABC's Shark Tank, and I about dropped to the floor. But she kind of did my first interview right there on the phone, and she said, I'm moving on. And anyways, the process after that is, months long, basically. Right. And I passed every test along the way, thankfully, while running a business, which most people kind of forget that you're trying to get your business going if Shark Tank falls through. So you're doing both at the same time. It's very tasking. It's pretty crazy, all the paperwork and, all of that. And so in April was when I got that phone call, and we filmed in June, and then my episode didn't air till October. So it's just a kind of a grueling process. And I'm so glad we made it through because we just had an awesome experience and learned a ton about our business. And it was a great time.
That's amazing. So had you watched the show before you went on it?
Yeah, they recommend you to watch as many episodes as you can to kind of learn what to do. The one thing I did not practice for was what happened to me, though, when Barbara said, answer me now or I'm out. And I didn't prepare for that. But I feel like every other scenario, I had like a quick, okay, I know what I want to do, but that's what happened to me. And
yours was interesting because, you had potentially had two sharks in play.
Yeah. And what they didn't show either was Lori kind of tried to go back in and actually get Barbara to go in, but she was kind of stuck on the fact that I had listened to Lori and not taken her up on her deal. They're I think they have, big egos and they want to be chosen first. But for me, it wasn't choosing Barbara over Lori or Lori over Barbara. It was the deal she offered me was not, I didn't want to go in. So basically for viewers or listeners who haven't watched it, she offered me 40% of the company for $100,000 for 40%, but 20% of that she wanted to give to another Shark Tank company who's great. They're humongous. They've grown so much, but their style and just everything they're about is very different than us. And I couldn't get past that when she was offering me the deal, even though she was just saying, they'll help you with production. And I fully got that. But to give away part of your company to someone you've never even met or talk to, I couldn't imagine that. And so I said no.
And as you said, and we all say this about our companies at some point, it's your baby.
Yeah.
It's blood, sweat, and tears and time lost and sacrifice away from family and bringing family into it. And so there's so much more to it than that's hard to even describe if someone hasn't been through that experience. And especially early on in the business, if it's a different direction that you don't feel is right.
Oh, yeah. And you have to know your margins because if you're giving away 40% of your company, are you going to be able to survive after that? Like, how long will you last, and you have to sell a certain amount to be able to make that happen. And so, I kind of knew I don't really want to go up to that point. And I'm glad we made our decision, though. I'm still confident in everything that happened. And I don't have nightmares, like wish I would have made this decision. It was a great experience.
That's great. I've got a friend of mine who I've done some work with who was on season 1 of Shark Tank.
Wow.
And did not get a deal. But he, every 6 weeks it reruns on MSNBC and he's a ghostwriter, and the phone rings off the hook, and that's been happening for years and years for him.
Oh man.
It's been the biggest driver for him. So what kind of did with the Shark Tank effect that they say where hits go to your website? What happened for you post Shark Tank that was kind of was it significant for you?
Yeah. So it's great having a product that can easily sell on a website.
Right.
And that you have a good price point too, I think, for viewers. It's not like we're at, $150 something. So yeah, we sold like crazy the first weekend that it aired, that new episode, and it stayed high for a very long time. And then you have a little drop, but it's incredible how, I experienced Target where we went viral and, we just kind of dropped back to normal because it was news once news is gone, but not with this. This kind of just elevates you to a level of, you were worth going on the show. You,
right.
And it does re-air and all of that. So yeah, it's just been incredible. Like we definitely didn't need a deal to kind of have the success from the show.
Yeah, that's so cool. So tell me a couple other questions for you. For you, what does success look like for you?
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that, but I think I've been able to hire employees, which I think to me has been so satisfying to give people jobs and help them. They're young, but they both live on their own and like they're making their life happen from Sandy Lake, which is so rewarding. So yeah. I think being able to hire more people is success. Also, some of the things we've been able to be involved in and help, like we're doing some work in Haiti and we're able to provide some living wage jobs to people, which has been an incredible, passion project. And I think we wouldn't have gotten that opportunity if we weren't successful. And so those things I think are what success means to me, definitely over money. And Sandy Lake for us has always been, what have we made and what can we put back into the company? And it's definitely worked out for us really well, and it's how we'll continue to grow. And it's just fun. Like I think I wouldn't consider myself successful if I wasn't having a good time doing all of this. And man, the people I've met and what I've learned along the way, and just the joy of loving what you do is definitely success for me.
3 years. What a roller coaster it's been for you and for your family.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Absolutely amazing. So just a couple more questions and we'll let you go. Tell me, what are you most proud of through this journey?
Man, I am most proud of starting something from nothing. And being a successful clothing company is very, very rare. I am proud that we are even open. I think people start ideas, and normally print shops start, you have something you want to sell, a design, and it fails. So then you start a print shop and you start doing custom work for people. And we've been able to keep a print shop open that only does our own product for 3 years now.
Thank you again to Melissa for being our guest. We love her story. Our next guest, another Shark Tank veteran, Michael Dweck. He is the co-founder of Basic Outfitters. Let's jump into our interview with him now. This is a really cool company. You've seen them on Shark Tank. They've been featured on Good Morning America, Forbes 30 Under 30, Men's Health, Vogue, and many others. Welcome to the program today, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
First saw you guys on Shark Tank. You've got this really cool one-stop online shop that's replacing men's outworn undergarments with affordable, high-quality, cooler, hipper new ones. Tell me a little bit about your journey. What's your background, and how did you get to where you started this company?
Yeah, absolutely. So my journey really comes out of frustration. My wife and I started Basic Outfitters back in 2014. After we got married, we moved into a small apartment in Manhattan. My wife, being a fashion designer, has a lot of shoes, a lot of clothing. So, you know who was boss when it came to closet space and drawer space. And I was working in a prominent hospital in Manhattan as an administrator, and I have a background in management and operations. And so And so being the stylish administrator that I am, I have accumulated a lot of socks and underwear. And Laura basically told me, shove everything into that one drawer. And when the drawer wouldn't close, we knew we had that problem and of way too much stuff.
Right.
And so she challenged me to throw out anything I hadn't worn in about 3 months. And it turned out to be 90% of the basics.
Okay.
And I'm a history major, so I started really diving into that. And I was like, well, why is it that I have so much stuff that I don't wear? And it turns out that there was a study that happened in England, in Oxford, where men keep their basics on average for 7 years, which is pretty disgusting.
Yeah, it is. I'm laughing because I'm a man and I'm not surprised. My wife would tell you probably about that long. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, and Laura just looked at me, my new beautiful wife, my bride, and she's like, "You're an animal. You're disgusting. Get rid of this stuff right now." And so I started going to department stores, which is like the bane of my existence. Underwear was in one place, socks were in another.
Right.
I started going on online, where a lot of these new direct-to-consumer websites were popping up. But they were still charging me $28 for one pair of underwear, $14.99 for one pair of socks. And I really wanted that Costco model where I just want to refill bulk with high quality, low priced. And I couldn't find anything. It was either low quality, low price, high quality, high price. And
Right.
So that's really where the idea came from. And I started surveying the industry. I realized that it's over a $70 billion industry worldwide. And I said, well, here's the white space. There's got to be guys like me who don't want to shop. And there's got to be a reason behind that 7-year statistic. And lo and behold, we created this concept of the Created Drawer, which is Basic Outfitters' flagship service. So it's in a really simple and convenient way for you to shop. In under 2 minutes, you could choose up to 10 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of underwear, 3 undershirts, and a pair of jogger sweatpants for $60. And the cool thing about that is that it's a 50% off discount from how much we normally sell it individually. So by bulking product, we were able to really pass along the savings to our customers.
Right. That's incredible. I mean, congratulations on this idea.
Thank you.
I love, I'm not saying simple, but I love straightforward, simple problem solving to obvious things that are out there that haven't been touched in many years. But you're right. We have to go across the department store to get our different pieces and it becomes a thing where we just don't go. And so, that's great. I love it. I'm about to be a customer after today. I love this idea.
Love it.
On top of that, my family takes my socks. That's just how it works. So they disappear all the time. My wife and my kids take them. So I need to keep bulking up on those. So give me a timeline here. So 2014, when was it when you said, man, we are really onto something here? I know you saw a gap in the marketplace, but when did you start to gain traction where you got that excitement that this is about to really take off?
Yeah, so we had a beautiful wedding in June of 2014, and we started talking about it as early as July 2014. And we were talking about it, and then by September we were really digging in. We found ourselves at night. Our dates became talking about this, researching it in the library. I wanted to know the history of underwear, and then my lunch hours became when I was working. Lunch hours became just working on getting the concept, finding developers, and then I left my job for this to work full time in March of 2015. Which was a massive step.
That's fast. That's great.
Yeah, that was really fast.
What was that like for you? Was there enough income coming in to replace that, or was this a leap of faith?
Yeah, so I'm all about risks, but it's all about calculated risks. So one of the best things we did was we partnered up with market research firm Experian, and we did deep analysis, and we wanted to understand if this was really a viable business option. And we really wanted to understand the market, who our customer was going to be. And we had a hypothesis. We just assumed it was going to be a guy like me. But we took that and we verified it.
Good.
And that was incredible. And so in March, I started noticing that, the hours of the night were going longer and longer when we were working on this. And I just said, Laura, I think I gotta leave. I gotta take the jump. And so I was, we were making money. We both worked in corporate America. She was working in the fashion industry, and we were making comfortable salaries, and we always were saving up for something, whether that was a house, whether that was a business. We didn't really know, but we knew we wanted to put our money somewhere. And when we saw the market data, when I saw it was a viable business, I said, let's do it. We went all in. Laura, however, with that, like I said, that calculated plan, she was working on it part-time for a little bit longer and didn't really jump in for a few months after.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So you just continue to grow. It's been a roller coaster for you guys the last few years, hasn't it?
Yeah. So it was incredible, like a lot of life-changing events all at once.
It really is. That's amazing. So yeah, you get married a few months later. What a big change, career change, married, everything. Yeah, that's huge. So tell me some next milestones in your business, and what were some other times when you got a big leap or jump, whether it be from press. I know that we could talk about Shark Tank in a minute, but what else happened? And tell me some more of the timeline so far in your business, because I'm telling you, you know this, but so many businesses bootstrap for so many years, and you guys are not an overnight success, but almost. I mean, I know it's felt like a long journey for you, but 3 years is fast. And I know that of being an entrepreneur and developing businesses myself. I mean, you've got a dream product and idea, and so keep walking me through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will mention that I had a lot more hair at the beginning of this process.
Yeah, we all do. Yes.
I think my biggest thing was always the small wins. There were nights where I felt like crying and throwing my hands up in the air. But the small wins is what got me through. I remember when we put up a landing page that just said coming soon, put your email in if you're interested. We had next to no traffic, but we put it on Facebook, and all of a sudden we had some signups, and that just seeing the name Basic Outfitters on a landing page was surreal. Yeah. And then after that was getting the product, and we sourced. Laura and I we were animals when it came to finding the right factories, ethical, sustainable factories. And when we finally got quality samples that we wanted and we had it in hand, that was one of the greatest moments of this journey.
That's cool. That's your product.
That was the product, and that really brought it. That was incredible, and I'll tell you, when we were sourcing, we saw some things, and we were like, this is not. And then when we finally had it and we tested it and it passed everything, we were like, this is it, and that was really, I think back now, and we probably don't give it enough credit now where we are, but that was really an incredible moment. You always got to reflect on where you work, because what I know now, if I knew it then, it would have been maybe I would have been able to do this in a year. And then we launched, and that was incredible. Seeing our name in press outlets, seeing the ads, I was like, oh wow, people actually care. Right. And really, a defining moment in the business was Laura and I. So we launched in November of 2015 the website to the public market, and things were going really well. We launched during holiday time, and people were looking to buy, so they came across it. We were doing really well, and then January and February came, and sales just tanked, and we were like, "What just happened here?" Right. And we didn't realize a lot more goes into that marketing. And then then Microsoft called, and they were vetting companies for the Small Business Challenge. And we got nominated, and we came in, we were in the final 10, and then we actually came in fourth place. Wow. And so companies and individuals from all over the country were nominating and voting every single day for the top small business in the country.
Wow.
And sales started to spike, and traffic was spiking, and customer feedback was incredible. And the reaction, people were voting from us from all over the country.
Wow.
And that was a real defining moment where I looked at Laura and I said, if we can get this in people's faces, they will understand it. They will understand our story. They'll understand why we're doing this, and they'll want it. And that Microsoft moment was incredible.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That puts you in front of it. That just really sped you up a couple of years of or more than that, of getting your product in front of people faster. And
yes.
Wow, that's huge. That's what an opportunity, huge. Man.
Yeah, and that's something. To be honest, I'm reflecting back and saying that was incredible. And with this whirlwind, the Shark Tank and Forbes, Microsoft really was that catapult, because we looked at each other and said, people from all over the country are understanding this.
Right. Wow, that's huge. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And I love that you're looking back at this, and you say the small moments, because a lot of times we build these companies, especially yours, taking the ride you have, it can be what's next, and scale, and efficiency, and but as humans, as entrepreneurs, we need to also enjoy the process and the journey, because those small moments are those are our steps along the way. And so, I love that you said that. It's a good reminder to me I love that you love the small moments. I have to remind myself often of the small moments, because we're living them each day and we need to appreciate them.
Yeah. So it was at that point that we said, there's an opportunity. If we were to go on Shark Tank, we can definitely learn from these sharks. And so we applied, and that was a long process, and we can go into that a little bit after. Yeah. But the next milestone was, I suppose we were on ABC's kind of radar, and we got a call to go on Thanksgiving Day on Good Morning America. They wanted to feature Basic Outfitters. And again, I honestly, there's got to be, we're just very lucky. I think that's what it comes down to.
Well, you've got a good product too, and good products that are at the right place at the right time, which, yes, is luck, but they do rise to the top. I really do believe that. Now, there's some great products that never see the light of day, but a good product at the right time and place is gonna come up, and you're just proof of that.
Yeah, thank you. So we went on Good Morning America, and so during the Shark Tank process, the other thing that people don't know is you don't know when they may air this, because you film it in advance. And we went on Good Morning America, and we were really excited. This was going to be network television, Thanksgiving Day. People are home cooking their turkeys before football, and they accidentally said, "This company just aired on Shark Tank." And we just went crazy. We were like, "Oh my God!" And I think that added to the exposure, because it wasn't just, "Hey, we're on Good Morning America," and they're talking about us. They were also saying this company was good enough to make it onto Shark Tank.
Wow!
And that kind of those were kind of the milestones of 2015 and 2016 that really led us to where we are. And yeah, it was. We believe in our product. We love our product, but we're incredibly fortunate that all of those stars aligned for us in that order.
So a couple of questions I have that come to mind, and then I want to hear more about Shark Tank and some other things you have going on. But so were you ready for was your infrastructure, were you ready for the boost that came along? Were there any challenges that happened along the way that you didn't expect, that log jammed? Or tell me about that, because sometimes people get the exposure and they're not ready for it. Before
absolutely. Shark
Tank, I know Shark Tank does a great job of vetting and the whole Shark Tank effect, and it's ridiculous. But the other shows probably don't. So how do you prepare for that? Were you ready?
Yeah. So one of the things that if not to tout myself, but Laura the company is Laura, from the design, from the marketing, from the imagery. It's Laura. She's the creative genius behind the company, and really, I give her all the credit in that department. My background is operations and management, which is really funny because I was working in healthcare. I actually donated blood today, and everybody should go donate blood.
Yes.
And I was back in the hospital that I was donating blood in, and they all said to me, all the people I used to work with, they were like, how did you go from working in hospital management to selling underwear? And the answer is, it's really, I worked in operations and I knew how to build an infrastructure. And we're a very small, lean team, but at the same time, we work with a great group of freelancers that really believe in the ideology. They're excited about what we're doing. They're really disgusted by that 7-year statistic and our mission to kind of eradicate that and make men change their underwear more frequently.
Right.
And as a result, I was able to, during the slower months, I was really focused on building up the infrastructure. I partnered up with a great web developer who kind of gave me all the tricks of the trade. My warehousing has been a little bit of a rocky, bumpy road because of the rapid growth, where we were in some great warehouses, but as we scaled, we were scaling faster than we thought. And so we had some difficulty there. But generally, when it came to the infrastructure, from our accounting, from all of our back end, I was able to kind of foresee some of the issues that I knew were going to come up just from my background in operations. And that was really, really, really beneficial. And I'll give you an example. Before going on Good Morning America, we realized, hey, we have this great website, and we built it up. However, what happens, we've never had this type of exposure before. What happens if the website fails? What happens if we don't have enough servers? Because you could only plan so much.
Right.
And I said, well, why don't we go to a backup? Why don't we just use a simple WordPress or Shopify template? We could have it up in a matter of a few hours. And if the website fails, we can just go to a backup redundancy plan. And lo and behold, we did. And we actually I think we lost maybe 30 seconds of time where we went down and we were able to continue selling to a backup site that a customer would never have known was a different website.
Yeah, that's great. So that brings me back to my earlier statement of being the right place at the right time, but also having the right team. You guys, I could see a less experienced team that might have had the same great idea and might have faltered at those times. So, man, great job again for how you did your development and your infrastructure early on. That's just a testament to your vision and to your experience from other industries. So take me to Shark Tank. I read somewhere where you applied through just kind of a generic email address.
So
love it.
So Laura and I were just talking one night, and we just said, this would be a great experience. Why don't we do it? And we kind of saw we studied the sharks. We always watched. It was more of like it was kind of like a night on the couch for us, was just watching Shark Tank. And we said, all of these sharks bring tremendous value. Why don't we do it? And I actually was the naysayer. I said, Laura, I'm reading online that it's like 0.1 or 0.01% of people get on the show. And she's like, who cares? So we sent a blind email to casting or at ABC or SharkTank.com, I don't remember, and heard nothing. Radio silence. And we're sitting at dinner maybe 2-3 months later. We're about to sit down at dinner, and I get a phone call from an unknown number in California. And I never answer unknown numbers. And I looked at Laura, I was like, I think I'm going to answer this. And she's like, okay. Turns out I left her at the table for somewhat of like an hour. Turns out to be a casting member of Shark Tank, and they were just asking us questions about the business. And they were like, okay, so the next step is, well, I can't really get into what the next step was, but they were like, you have a little homework, and here's what you have to do. And it's due by 3 days, in 3 days. I said, oh, okay, all right, I could do that for you. Ran back to the table. She was like, what was that? You just left me sitting here like alone. And I was like, Laura, Shark Tank just called us and they're interested. So we got to work with all the homework and we got it done. And
you're simplifying that too, because we've interviewed several people that have been on the show, deal or not, and they talk about what a beast it is for several months to go through that.
So I liken it as a second job, and Laura likens it to business boot camp.
Wow. Okay.
So Yeah, so we got back to we had our dinner, and then we went straight back to the office. We had a whiteboard session, which is my favorite thing.
Yes.
We said, what's going to be the angle here? How are we going to accomplish these tasks that they're asking us? And we came to the conclusion that whatever we do, we're going to treat it as a job interview. No matter who we speak to during the process, no matter what we do, this is going to be a job interview. And whatever they ask us to do, we're going to do it 120%. Actually, it was funny. I remember that weekend, my entire family was going away together, and I made the executive decision where I called my mom and I said, I can't come, and I can't come, and I'm going to focus on this, and we did, and so we submitted it back to the casting director, and they emailed us back, thank you. If you hear from us, you hear from us, and if you don't, you don't.
Right, after all that next work, yes.
So
when did you hear from them again?
Yeah, so to make the story, I'll tell you a little bit more about the story, make it entertaining. Laura and I were planning, we always wanted to go to Japan, and we decided that we were going to do a trip to Japan as our anniversary trip in conjunction with a business trip overseas to go look at some new factories. And yeah, you get a little bit of the business and pleasure.
Right.
And so Laura was like, you know what? I really don't want to go to Japan. I think that we need to get back to work immediately. And I was like, no, it's fine. She's like, well, what if Shark Tank calls? And I said, Shark Tank's not going to call for a little bit. Trust me. Look at how the first time worked out. And that was like 3 months. And
right.
and so I convinced her. I was like, we have once in a lifetime opportunity. Japan's a very expensive trip. We're going all the way across the world anyway. Let's just do a stopover, and we'll go see what we want to see in Japan and all the sites. And I finally convinced her. So we did. We land in JFK back from the trip. Land in JFK. I wake up the next morning and I have a email from Shark Tank that says, "Hi, we're trying to get in touch with you. Please call us. Please call us today."
Of course. That's great.
So not even unpacked. We got on the phone with them, and they basically said, "Hey, we've allocated you a producer. You're going to be working with these producers. You have to fill out all of these legal documents. You can seek your own legal advice, but this is what it is. And if you wanna proceed, you can proceed." And so we sat down with our partners and our investors, and we said, "Is this something that we want to do?" And we went forward, and we had a weekly call with all these different tasks and all these different hoops and bounds that we had to get through. And like Laura and I said, we're going to treat this as an interview each and every time. So we went to work every day. We did our daily tasks, and then we ordered dinner, and we went into the conference room, and we worked on Shark Tank. And
wow. And
that was kind of the process. And then they called us and they said, "Hey, you're going to come to California." And, I think this was probably 4 months later. They said, "Hey, you're going to come out and you're going to film."
Wow.
And that's what happened.
Quite a process. This is incredible, man. And then being on the show itself. I mean, give us another minute about your experience. You did not end up doing a deal, but just give me a quick recap of your experience in the tank too.
Yeah, so we had studied kind of every scenario, and we had talked with our investors and kind of how we wanted to approach things, and we were really prepared. So we went in there. During the process, Laura and I were very, very nervous, and then I have to tell you, we got there, and the nerves kind of subsided, and it's funny because a lot of people we speak to say that the nerves kicked in because it became so real. But we did a tour of the studio, and it was very, very familiar. You're watching them on TV, and we're in the 8th season, so we watched 7 seasons of the same backdrop.
Right.
And you almost feel like you know the states.
Right.
And so when we walked in there, we were at least I was cool as a cucumber. I was like ready to go. And that little clip of Laura pumping me up beforehand, that happens on like the daily. Like we're like a really good partnership. So that was like really natural and organic for us.
Awesome.
And it really made me feel like I had my partner, I had my better half next to me. And walking in there, we really, once we were there and once we saw the set and we understood the room and where we were, it was very, very familiar. And you kind of feel like you know them already because of watching the show for so long.
Right.
But you're sitting in there and you're much closer to them than the show looks like.
Really.
And that's an interesting feeling. Because it's really like a conversation. Once you get past the pitch process, it's really like a conversation, and it's pretty close. The rug is closer than you think, and it really feels like a conversation that you and I are having, or if we were in the same room. So that actually was very unnerving as well, and you know, that was very, very interesting. That's something that I wasn't anticipating. The other thing that I wasn't anticipating is you're in there for a lot longer than they show you on television, and like my legs were starting to hurt a little because I was standing for so long. But that process of going in there and being in there was it felt familiar.
That's really incredible. I know somebody that was on season 1, and they reminded me, hey, remember, we didn't know what Shark Tank was going to be, so it didn't have the same. It didn't have there was no familiarity about it. But going in that many seasons later, I think I've seen almost every episode. So my wife and I would sit there and watch them too. So that's amazing to all of a sudden be on the set, even after all that prep work you've done.
Yeah. You know, what was really interesting was before we went on, and we were kind of on the set before we pitched, and the Sharks were taking a short break. They're just walking around like normal people. You know them, right? Season 1, they would never have known these people.
Right, so. Exactly, right. But now, I mean, they're larger than life now, way larger than life. It's crazy. Absolutely. So tell me, coming out of the tank, what kind of Shark Tank effect did you experience? Did your e-commerce experience?
We were really satisfied with how it came out. I think one of the things that you don't know is how you reacted to things and how that's going to end up being played out on television.
Right.
Like I said, we're in there for a good amount of time, and you're only seeing a small glimpse of it. But we were really happy that the quality of our product and the concept was really validated by the Sharks, and I think that was really tremendous for us. And we really saw that the Shark Tank effect is really larger than life. We saw a spike in business almost tenfold.
I want to say thank you again to Michael Dweck, Melissa Lay, both amazing businesses. We look forward to continuing to watch your businesses grow. Thanks for being a guest on the Business Leadership Series. And please tune in again next week when we have an interview with another amazing guest.
You've been listening to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. This interview was designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be.